Now, from Tijuana, Baja California, I will tell you my story. Gunshots were being fired again. My family and I forced to hit the ground one more night in a row. It was 1990. We had just jumped the border and had just arrived at Boyle Heights, Los Angeles. After the third attempt, we successfully crossed the border through the mountains illegally. A few months shortly after, due to all the gang violence in the area, my parents decided we moved to San Diego, California. I will never forget the thrill of being a teenager growing up in American schools, with the idea engraved of the land of the free and equal rights available to all Americans. Both sides of my family are from the same state in Guerrero, Mexico. Me, I'm from the same state in Mexico where my parents are from, born in Acapulco. For almost 25 years, I lived in America. I was 4 years old when we arrived. My brother was 9 years old. Shortly after, when we were settled in, my sister was born, and we grew up in San Diego. When I graduated high school, I was the first of my siblings to do so. My brother quit due to gangs. I attended some college in San Diego at both City College and Mesa College. I will share a glimpse of my life, coming to America involuntarily as a child by my parents. First time getting a deportation order by an immigration judge was in 1997. There was an attorney working on my family's case, but the attorney applied for asylum rather than a different status. Instead of helping our case, the attorney made it even harder for my family and me. My family and I made it all the way to the Ninth Circuit Court, only to have our petition denied by the immigration judge, and a deportation order was released on my father, mother, and myself. As a family, we never showed up to get deported, so we stayed. As a result, my first deportation occurred less than a year after 9/11. My father had a commercial car wash business and worked at the airport through contracts with FedEx. Unexpectedly, Homeland Security ran background checks on all employees. ICE federal agents came knocking on our door at 6 a.m. in the morning. My mother answered the door as I was getting ready to walk out and leave for school. I was a sophomore attending La Jolla High at the time. My family was deported to Tijuana in March of 2002. Afterwards, I managed to cross back to the US soon after I was deported. My family did as well. At that time, our return, we remained living in the shadows, pretending to live normal lives with hopes of an immigration reform in the US. In 2009, I got a DUI, went to a party. My cousin who moved from Anaheim, California, was jealous about his girlfriend having a prior crush on me before, and she was supposed to drive my car home, but she didn't, so I drove one under the influence. I was pulled over on Grape Street and 30th Street in South Park, San Diego, spending 3 nights in the county jail while the officers informed of an immigration hold on my record. I was deported to Tijuana, where I stayed for about 45 days. While in Tijuana, I tried crossing back to the US on 3 different occasions. The first time I tried to cross and it was unsuccessful. Second time looking down at Bailey's prison from the top of the mountain. Almost made it to the border patrol surrounding both sides of the mountain. Third time, I was with the Coyote driving to Calexico border entrance. It was successful. At that time, the Coyote charged about $5,000 a person. One morning, running on a few hours of sleep while driving and making a U-turn, I accidentally pressed the gas pedal and hit the parked car. My license plate fell off after hitting the car. I drove away from the hit and run scene in fear from driving without a driver's license. I was deported 2 weeks after the accident. During those 2 weeks, ICE posted as police officers looking into a drug investigation when they showed up at my parents' home and asked my parents where they could find me. My parents began to worry that I was involved in deep shit, but I wasn't. At the same time, I began the immigration process for the U visa. I was a victim of a crime when I was 19 years old. I was jumped and was waiting on a police report. Within the first week after the accident, I believe I started tagging my phone and would show up at my friend's house where I would be staying the night before. ICE went to my parents and started threatening them, scaring them, and so my parents, in fear, told the officers where I worked. I happened to work at a restaurant which was right aside the street across the San Diego County Sheriff's Department and across the street from the United States Homeland Security Department. I showed up at my work while I was in the weeds and had no choice but to turn myself in. My parents were deported for the second time and I was deported for the third time. It was October 28, 2014, evening time when ICE released us to the Mexican Embassy in Tijuana, Baja California. Upon arriving to Tijuana, I got a job at a call center as a sales representative. After a year, I became more responsible and started making wiser decisions. I found work opportunity at a different call center, my second job in Tijuana doing first-party collections. Tijuana is an industrial city and the majority of the jobs available are those in factories. Significantly speaking, call center jobs are the type of jobs deported Mexicans most commonly work at. Working in these environments where everyone speaks English is a place where Mexicans that live in the U.S. can relate more with each other, which is what is talked about being pocho, slang for Mexican race in the States, which is an intercultural discrimination and racism. I am currently working at a third call center. Obtained this job in search for higher pay. Now I have expanded my work experience working for this company, since now I work at a bail bonds collector for the financial department. Now, also enrolled in college here in Tijuana, pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration for a private university. But for a long time, I was worried about enrolling because of my Spanish skills. Upon completion of my bachelor's degree, I will plan on working as a recruiter in human resources and expand my knowledge for the different areas that come with the field. For example, engage in doing the payroll for the company. One of my goals is to administer my own business in the near future, so I am convinced that this newfound knowledge will be useful for my future endeavors. I am thankful that my family is here with me. I am the reason for the last deportation, but I do feel I am closer to them now than ever I was. The trauma has brought the family together. We were able to reunite with my brother, who had been deported since 2009 for a naturalization case that was denied by Homeland Security. My mother was able to see my grandmother before she passed away, so the change was not so bad after all.